the character herself was very different than me, just because I grew up in New York. I'm like playing a girl from Kentucky. You know what I mean? It's very, and I got to actually be there and kind of live in that moment of being in like the suburbs and like, where the fields are there, and kind of seeing that loneliness and the isolation of just being, in somewhere that's so sprawling.
But I do have gray hair under my blonde now. I call it my Bob Trevino hair. That's that's my financing hair. Yeah.
We're all a bit broken. But you know what? You're gonna be fine.
So I guess that brings us here.
This is such a good film. It really blew me away. I want to ask both of you. This is a true story based on the director's life. And Barbie, how did you connect with her, Lily? What was it? How much of Lily is you?
A little bit, but I think actually what's wonderful about Lily was I feel like she's the most outside of myself, but also has the heart of what like my real kind of like deep down questions that I have about the world and everything, like abandonment and choosing who you are. So I think that foundation is definitely there. But Tracie Laymon, who wrote and directed it, who's an angel, like really because this is inspired by this friendship. I think we had we really crafted this character together, and we had like a lot of conversations over breakfast at diners and talking about like our lives and like what the feeling and the meaning of it meant, and how it sucks and how it's great and like all the ups and downs for it. So I think really just kind of making sure that everything felt real in the emotions, but the character herself was very different than me, just because I grew up in New York. I'm like playing a girl from Kentucky. You know what I mean? It's very, and I got to actually be there and kind of live in that moment of being in like the suburbs and like, where the fields are there, and kind of seeing that loneliness and the isolation of just being, in somewhere that's so sprawling. And so it was really great. I mean, I think a lot of it, the foundation and the heart of it was definitely things that I believe and things I've gone through. But yeah, a little bit of both.
No, I like that, John. I love this character so much. You see such sadness in your performance. It's so vulnerable. What did you bring to John, this amazing character?
Well, yeah, I felt like Bob was a very sad guy, not lonely because he's got his wife and he loves her, but there was a sadness, there's an emptiness in his life that he was never able to fill, and so that's what I looked into myself to try to find that in myself. I feel like a lot of Bob was me in a lot of ways because I'm kind of like really that guy in real life in some ways, not the sad lonely, or maybe who knows, I don't even myself that well.
Well, what I liked about this movie is we see the horror stories of the internet, and we all go on it. We all see the garbage and the toxicity, but there's goodness out there. There's good people out there.
Yeah.
Did you find that? What is your relationship with Facebook, Barbie? I mean, is this something you even explore?
I did when I was a kid. I think what's amazing about this film is that it's so hopeful while also being dark and like and like this. And for me, I mean, I've had lots of connections on the internet throughout my life. And, a lot of my greatest collaborators and friends have been from a DM on Instagram or, it's so many of that. And so it's just, I think it's like the way that people are living now. And we see a lot of like horror stories and a lot of like catfish episodes and all that. And that kind of takes up the whole public zeitgeist. But it has to be some good if everyone's on it. And we are exploring this connections and just like a new way of communicating. And especially when Lily is so isolated and lonely, I feel like it's so real that like she would go exploring for connection through the internet. I think a lot of young people do that. And not even just young people. I think a lot of people in general are just searching for connection online, and if they can't get it in real life.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook and all social media can be used for good or for evil. I mean, it's kind of a neutral space that is whatever your intent is. I've been able to use it more politically and as an activist. I get DM'd a lot from people, and I met David Brooks from Mother Jones, and we hung out. You just meet all these great. Julian Castro ran for president. We met in San Antonio. You can meet people and having incredible professional relationships as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. And guys, we gotta wrap, but I hope everyone sees this movie. It's lovely. It's beautiful.
Wait, so
Absolutely beautiful, guys. Thank you. Jimmy O from JoBlo. Tracie, wow. Damn it, you made me cry.
I'm sorry, Jimmy.
No, this is, my God, this was really beautiful. This feels very tough to do, to put a story like this, as semi-autobiographical. How deeply did you go into your own life?
I went all the way emotionally. I feel like all the emotions that Lily goes through are things that I have gone through. The trauma and the excitement over the small things in the healing process when you're not used to you're not used to people not abandoning you, things like that. So I did go all the way in that way, and then I just kind of built fictional sequences around it to that would best show that cinematically. So.
How do you find the right person to tell that? I mean, Barbie's perfect for this.
So perfect, so perfect. I mean, I wanted more of her. I kept in Euphoria, I kept seeing her vulnerability, and I was like, I want the whole show to be about her, And then I saw her childlike awe and her humor and her wit and Unpregnant, and I was like, this person's self-made. She's a powerhouse. And her range is absolutely amazing. I mean, watching her face is like watching a master class in acting, in those close-ups. And I really just knew. And it was really important to me that Lily be a, not a doormat, but a survivor,
Yeah.
And not everybody understands the difference. You have to kind of have some lived experience to understand that the choices Lily is making are not because she's weak, it's because she's so strong.
Well, yeah. I mean, how could you have to be strong to survive a parental figure like that?
Absolutely. I feel like she's the hero we all need right now,
Yeah, and geez, Mr. French, my God, he was unrecognizable.
Somebody said the last plot twist is when the credits roll and you see that was French Stewart.
That's it. No, this is such a remarkable cast. John Leguizamo. What a wonderful. How similar was he to the real Bob?
It was, I don't know if you saw this, but there's our special effects guy was a gentleman named Bob Trevino. And I grew up in Texas, which is 44% Latino, and a lot of my mentors, teachers, professors were Latino, and Bob Trevino was one of those. And when I had to fictionalize the name, I called him up and I said, hey, I think when I'm writing this, I think if I can use your name and your heart, I can really, really make this real and authentic. And I just can't make up a fake name for something that's so important to me. So I called him, and he said, okay. So it's kind of a combination in a way of Bob Trevino and his wife Denise were just so wonderful for me. I met him on my very first set. He came out, did our special effects in Kentucky. And so it is a combination, but they both like science, so that's definitely a crossover.
How difficult was it to get this on the big screen? I mean, this is such a great story, but you don't see stories like this enough.
Yeah, well, we had to do it ourselves, because nobody was knocking on our door and throwing money at us, So we had to start the company, me and my producing partners, we had to raise the money. And luckily, people just started coming on. We weren't going to take no for an answer. I was going to make this film because I had to make this film. And I think having that mentality really helped. But I do have gray hair under my blonde now. I call it my Bob Trevino hair. That's that's my financing hair. Yeah.
Well, we got to wrap, but my God, this is a really lovely film. And I hope people see it because I think a lot of people could use it right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Jimmy. I'm really glad Jimmy O liked it.
I'll see you later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo remains an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.